you guys have been doing a lot, obviously. We were talking this morning about some of basically the fact that Samba seems to have gotten a little kick from everything that's going on right now with SMB3 and...
Well, so there's two interesting things going on with Samba at the moment. So first is all the SMB3 storage work.
Yep.
There's also the Active Directory domain control.
Yep.
Which is the genesis of Samba 4, which has the honour of being in pre-production on Duke Nukem.
Yes.
Duke Nukem Forever.
Yes, we'll call it Samba Forever.
Yes, Samba Forever. But actually, Samba 4, we are intending to ship that this year.
Samba Forever. Okay, you're going to ship it this year?
We're actually intending to ship this. My goal is, that we ship it before the end of the year.
Okay.
That will be. I'm hoping that will open up a whole bunch of new markets to us, because in terms of storage and doing SMB6, we are pretty widespread. Essentially, I like to joke that if you walk into Fry's and you buy a box that's a NAS box and it's under $5,000, it's got that code in it. If it's over $1 million, it has that code in it. In between, not so much. But so we're either really cheap or the really high end. And the reasons for that are interesting. The really cheap ones, obviously, because we're open source, free software, and so people just take the code, stick it on the box. Hey, we have a product, ship it.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of them do it.
Yeah, you don't even know they're.
We don't know, and that's fine for us.
Yeah.
And then we get the people, who essentially, I need a custom system that does something that nothing else on the planet does, and no one else's code does it. But those guys' code is close, and we can fix it to do.
Yeah.
And so many. That's
the over 1 million.
Yeah, that's the over 1 million one, and that's where he makes his money back. So
really?
He runs a consultant.
So he likes millions and millions of dollars.
Oh, indeed.
Okay, very good.
So, by the way, I must confess I'm not speaking on behalf of Google here. So I'm here as a Samba person, so I'm not representing Google. I like to say that mainly. Yeah, I know. I just couldn't find the T-shirt.
Is there a new logo? Let's see.
Yeah, that's a
new logo.
Oh, it still has the
this
arrows,
is the old
but the
logo.
arrows have been moved.
Yeah, and
is there some significance to that?
Yeah, it's just more elegant. It's just kind of cooler, more 21st century. This is.
And regarding the release schedule for Samba 4, we released an RC1. I mean, that's just yet another code drop. But our release model is, once we are at RC release candidate, the code that goes in has to follow a lot stricter rules, with review, with everything.
So basically, up until RC, it's kind of a free for all.
Yeah.
Checking stuff, people take some in, people take it out. Now it's in RC1, there is one person in the world who actually works for him who can now check into that code base. The new market that Samba 4 should bring out is essentially Active Directory domain control in little areas that you wouldn't expect it to be, because Active Directory is the most popular directory service in the world. Something like 80% of enterprises run it. But you need a fairly hefty box and fairly hefty licenses to run it. So some of our developers are running it on these tiny $25 Linux things. Imagine a thermostat with Active Directory control in it.
And that's a good idea.
Well, that means that you can fit a sophisticated per-hour authentication model into lots of places that it doesn't normally.
There's two markets. First is really the home user who wants to have login across several machines in the bedroom, in the living room, and so on. And the kids shouldn't be able to serve everywhere. With GPOs, you can do that. We couldn't do that before. And the other market is maybe the NAS box sitting in a branch office somewhere, where you wouldn't want to have the license fees for the big domain controller. Just set up Samba there and just pull the Active Directory down.
Or cloud vendors, and I'm not. Again, this is not talking on behalf of Google here, or cloud vendors who want to be able to virtualize Active Directory service for customers running it in the cloud.
So not running it on a little piece of hardware, but running it on a virtual machine.
There are a virtual machine, but the other thing is, we don't know where people are going to take it. There's all the components of Active Directory. So like I say, there are people running it on tiny little pieces of hardware. which means it could start turning up anywhere. We really don't know. But I think that's going to open a whole new market for Samba.
And the other piece that is not Active Directory is we have done a big amount of work with SMB2.
Yep.
In fact, with RC1, we by default negotiate SMB3.
Yeah.
We don't have all the features yet.
Yeah.
But we have the mandatory features like encryption, like renegotiation.
Yeah, what are the mandatory features? What do you have?
It's re-authentication, it's encryption. We have durable handles. We don't have persistent handles. We don't have users yet. But we negotiate, and we can then much easier and seamlessly shove them in later releases.
So yeah, I mean, and we're working on the RDMA and multipass.
Okay, you are working on that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the interesting
In
thing
fact,
is,
the vendor here just gave us three RDMA-able Ethernet cards, so that we can actually test Windows against us. And
so the interesting thing is, I mean, you're a Microsoft MVP, so I'm sure you know their storage stack. But a lot of the things that they're talking about in SMB3 and the high availability and whatever, essentially they were kind of pushed to do them because of the clustered Samba world.
Yeah.
That mainly.
Thank you.
Well, they didn't have anything that did what that does.
Yeah,
So even with SME1,
they decided they wanted it.
they decided they wanted it, whereas before Samba was the only SIFS or SMB server that had a completely... so the interesting thing about it is what it allowed you to do is to have a distributed file system backend and a bunch of different NAShead nodes, all of which were serving a Windows consistent view of that backend file system. So it was scale-out storage, which was Windows just didn't do before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I mean, and the other thing, we had encryption on the wire, which they've now added into SMB3.
It's a different way, but
in a different way.
It's incompatible, but
incompatible and probably superior way. But the thing is, I like to think that some of the innovations that we put in Samba have been the inspiration for Microsoft to go, we really are interested in this storage market after all. Maybe we should do something on this.
I mean, the cluster stuff is really the one that one central piece where we have been way ahead of others.
Yes.
I mean, with many other aspects like Active Directory, I mean, Active Directory is out like forever, 10 years, and we are just at RC1 state, so we are way behind that. But with the clustering stuff, we really have set the field, and we are way before.
So you've got SMB2, 2.1, SMB3, and you're working on all the on adding more and more of those. I'm really interested to hear that you're talking about things like RDMA, because I was curious if Samba would ever go there.
Well, why wouldn't we?
Why would you? I mean, is there a market for it? Do people want it?
We are enterprise storage.
Yeah.
From all the way down to there are people selling Samba servers and clients on Android phones all the way up to multi-million-dollar enterprise storage systems.
From a service business, we are doing Samba support and service in Germany, and what we see in our customer base is really the slow office with like 20 people setting up their Samba server, and then we see as consulting work the high end, exactly what Jeremy said. There's in between, like whatever, 2,000 people company and so on. They have their 10 Windows servers and they are happy. But at the very low end, they need whatever on their firewall, which is Linux based. They want to have their Samba server, and at the high end, they need the special features. And this really. We see this in our support business. We don't have the 2,000 whatever company as customers to do Samba support. We have the low end and we have the high end.
And so the low end is the volume, and the high end is the really
special features.
Downstairs, plugfest, you guys have been obviously doing a lot down there.
Oh yeah.
How's that going?
Incredibly well. So I mean, I can't mention vendors because it's but essentially we have found bugs in other people's implementations. They have found bugs in ours, and some of these things that they're testing are pre-release software on various.
And that's the goal. The goal is to find bugs. It's not a bad thing.
But I mean, the goal is so by the time this stuff comes out, it'll just work. I mean, the goal is for people to be able to put whatever operating systems on their desktops, laptops, tablets, or whatever, and for it to just work with the storage that's out there.
And you're feeling pretty good then about?
Well, we love these plugfests because they are our main method of running into vendors, A, who we didn't know were running our stuff, or B, we'd never interoperated with before. The plugfest gets bigger every year, more people come in, they get a better matrix, a better...
Yeah, without mentioning the companies, it's basically everyone you've heard of.
Yes, and more. And lots of people who haven't.
Yeah. And, oh, yeah.
Some people have disappeared again in the past, but...
Yeah, and there's some great really innovative products down there, and just things that you wouldn't expect. It's a lot of fun. I mean, really, it's the most tiring and intensive part of our year, but it's also probably the most fun.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for stopping by. I'm glad we were able to pull you in from